It looks like that. Here's Heaney from the boundary line. He's an expert at these.
Hello and welcome to Behind the Boundary podcast. I'm your host Pez. I'm here with Sauce, and you've dressed up for the occasion tonight, Sauce. The old button-up shirt in the studio. I don't know why.
Well, I'm just disappointed you didn't meet the attire of smart formal.
Smart formal. I didn't get that memo throughout the week, but the memo I did get.
You're not a smart bloke, mate.
The memo I did get is the bloody chill in the air this week, leading into winter. Today, the 1st of June on the Wednesday, first day of winter, but the colder day was yesterday. It was freezing.
The colder day was last week when we were talking about our bets. That's where there was some chill in the room there. But yeah, it definitely the feel of the weather pairs really indicates football is back. That midpoint of the season, that's when you start to get a little bit chilly. You get to rug up on the Saturday night in front of the couch, get a couple of the good cold ones. You know, that good balance of warm and cold. A couple of the very best. Watch the footy, and this was a cracking weekend of footy pairs.
Yeah, well, we were a bit somber at the start of last week, and we got some feedback from the fan source, and there was a lot of agreeance in terms of what we were saying, in terms of the rules and things like that. Now, it wasn't a quick fix, so there were still things paid that you don't want to be paid. There were too many free kicks paid in certain games, but there were actually some really good games of football just to sit down and watch, especially if your team wasn't playing. You know, when you get those really great games and you're just hooked to the TV. The first game I want to speak about is a Friday night, Sydney versus Richmond. There was some very big news at the end with a lot of people disagreeing on Twitter, which we'll get to. But that game, Sydney actually, dominated the start of the game, but Richmond kicking so straight and moving inside forward 50, their efficiency was through the roof, and they actually had a big lead heading in.
Yeah, Pez, correct. It was a week after as you said, we were a bit somber about it, and we said, you know what, it's one of those things where the free kicks and the way the game's been played, but when there's good footy around, Pez, and there's a competitive brand of footy, and close games help with that, you forget all that. It was a little bit hard to forget about the umpires in that game because it has been such a big talking point. But you're right, the inaccuracy of Sydney really cost them a big league, and they were able to claw their way back with Buddy, some of his best outside of his interesting move to retaliate to Cochin with a nice little headbutt first, and then
a little
I don't know how they're doing that was unintentional because he took two swings. How can you say it was unintentional?
Unintentional gets a week, but we don't talk about the Tribunal here.
No, we don't.
But,
exactly right.
At half-time, Richmond were 11-2, and that's how accurate they actually were. And Sydney was 6-7. So same scoring shots, but Richmond head into half-time with a 25-point lead. And I actually lost interest at that stage. I thought, you know what, this is a little bit over. So I switched it over, had a little bit of a kip, getting old these days, had a bit of a kip into the third quarter, and then woke up, checked the scores, and was like, oh, I've got to get back here and watch the end of the third quarter and into the fourth. And by golly, I'm glad I did.
Well, that third quarter when they started coming, Pez, I had that deja vu, thinking back to the week before when I left your place because it was a rubbish game against Carlton, and they started getting about, and I'm like, here we go, this is it. We're gonna have the deja vu, and I still wasn't sold, but the way that they piled it on, and the way that just how a little bit of accuracy changed the whole dynamics of a game, and then going into that last quarter being able to be that topsy-turvy, one team hit the lead, the other team hit the lead, and then what a finish, Pez. We have to talk about it, but it was a great finish and well defended up until that last brain fade is how some people are labelling it.
Yeah, so Sydney 10 goals to 4 in the second half to actually storm home and win by the 6 points. They were up by 2 goals towards the end. Richmond pegged one back and then tried to, get the lead at the end. So a questionable free kick goes to Prestia out on the wing, probably 80 metres out, I'd say, for some high contact. And we saw some vision during the week.
No, it wasn't for high contact. It was for holding the man. So it wasn't
the high contact was missed from Prestia.
It was missed from
That's
Prestia,
why I wanted you to say that, Source. But the umpire was in the centre square. He was a fair while away with some vision of behind the ground cameras. He was a fair way away. So he's got very, very good eyesight. So he must have to do some really good tests to be able to umpire because he was facing the back of the players as well. But anyway, Prestia gets the free kick. 2 seconds, 3 seconds on the clock, Source. The time goes down. The siren sounds at the ground, and Chad Warner has the ball in his hand. In celebration, boots the ball sideways into the stands. I would have gone 60, 70 metres into the stands, I reckon. His biggest kick he's ever done. And the Richmond players were begging for 50 metres. They thought it was so obvious. And the umpire held their ground, was speaking in the mic to the other umpires, and they've decided, Dion, do you want to take your kick from 80 metres out? There's no 50 here.
Do you know what I like about it? Was the next line after that, when he's talking to Dustin Martin, I think it is, and he just says, come on, mate, common sense. And that's exactly why I'm okay with the decision. Technically, yeah, I guess he's booted the ball out of the stadium, and Chad Warner's getting a little bit of a reputation for things outside of the SCG because he kicked the ball out of the stadium, and he basically was found outside of the stadium during the Buddy Franklin game. So one to watch for his off-field antics more.
He's been learning from Dane Rampy, who ramped up the post that other year as well.
Sydney always seem to get involved in these sort of little controversies, but do you know what I like is that line, is that common sense aspect, and he clearly hasn't heard the siren or the whistle. Sorry, he clearly hasn't heard the whistle. Otherwise, he wouldn't boot the ball into the stand like that.
Especially if you're 6 points up, you got to be smart and not be able to do that.
But even if he hasn't heard the whistle, right? Let's say he has heard the whistle. Why is he booting it? He's not getting any advantage from it. That's the only time they kick is when they think it's their free kick. What's he doing?
He's celebrating a win that he thought. And the thing about common sense sources, as everyone knows, it's not so common. It's not so common, and umpires usually don't have it either. But a lot of talk on Twitter this week, and I spent a lot of Saturday morning source having a look.
Trolling. That's what you do,
having a look through Twitter and just seeing what the fans were thinking. And I could not believe it, because I'm on the side that 50 metres there ruins the game.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not a 50-metre penalty. It doesn't mean you can just go do whatever you want after the siren. But in this case, common sense. You couldn't have heard it. You go from there. People were going back to Essendon versus Fremantle. Half-time, the Essendon player had the free kick on the wing, and the Fremantle player, I think it was Sukowski at the time, put the ball down at the fence. The siren had already gone for the end of the second quarter, and the umpire paid 50 then. So then some people's argument source was this: I don't care what's right or wrong. I just want consistency. So if they paid that 50 metre after the siren, then they have to pay this 50 metre after the siren.
What, in 10 years differential?
And I'm thinking, no, not 10 years. That was a few rounds ago. And I'm thinking, are you, I don't know if we got PG on this or whatever, are you serious? Because that is the most ridiculous comment that I think I've ever heard. I don't care if the umpire is right. I just want consistency. No, you don't. You want if the umpire was wrong.
You want consistency within a game, and you want it from week to week with what all the points of emphasis are. But not when it ruins games.
If you pretty much admit that call was wrong,
then that's what you want.
You want the umpire to call it wrong again 7 weeks later because it's consistent. No, that's not what we want consistency about.
That is what I want. I want the first call of the game wrong, and then I want every single call for the rest of the game wrong.
Oh, because you've got to be consistent. He's been doing it all day in that first ball up. You know that.
It is, Pez. And for a show that doesn't like talking about the umpires, we have started off on it. But I like your little rant there towards Twitter. But it wasn't just the Friday night game that started off, Pez.
You liked another one?
Liked another one. I liked the the top of the tables, Pez. And we may have jinxed them. We should have put the odds out on Donut Bet because we would have got some nice little profit from this one with Fremantle coming home. Well, not coming home, actually. Getting a win at the MCG, something that they don't do very often.
They don't play there very often.
And what everyone says, Pez, if you need to be a contender and you need to be believed, you need to win at the MCG on Grand Final Day. Well, they've done it in, May? Does that count?
Against the team that had won 16 in a row. Premiership
17
favourites.
in a row. We decided last week.
Easily. It was a 68-point turnaround source.
Yeah, wow.
They were down by 5 goals. And it looked like Melbourne were just going to kick away. Stephen May's gone off down the race, subbed out. And then Fremantle just hit the switch after half-time. It was unbelievable to watch the defensive thing. They held Melbourne to 56 points. Yeah. 56 points in 4 quarters.
But do you know what it is, Pez? It's the blueprint model of what we've talked about. If you can control the football against Melbourne, you don't let them have it, then you've got a good chance of winning it. Because what Melbourne do is they just don't let you have it. And them out-kicking Melbourne, and most of their midfielder averaged 10 marks because they just kicked the ball, hold, kick the ball, hold, kick the ball, hold, and then they go. With as well as a defensive mindset, they were able to really pile it on in that last quarter and break away. And a little bit, is it concerning for Melbourne, Pez?
The only concerning thing I would say is teams know if we can hold Petrarca.
Yeah.
He had 10 disposals, which is the lowest of his career. If we can hold him below 15 disposals, he can't have an impact on the game. Clayton Oliver, he had the ball 36 times, Source. They only scored 56 points and they lost by 38. So if you're going to tag someone, you've got to try and get Petrarca. I know he can play forward. I know he's more versatile than Oliver, But if you can have him not make an impact on the game, you're in with a fighting hope against him.
Yeah, you are, Pez. And, obviously, is May going out in that second quarter a factor as well? Maybe is that what people need to start to look at? Utilising and really, stopping Petrarca's impact, but then also stopping May's impact. Because their backline looked in a little bit of sorts without May there, and obviously it's hard to plan for a mid-game injury like that. But they really came undone, and maybe that's another way to target, underpinning Melbourne.
Yeah, you can't bomb the ball against them. May and Lever usually, and teams usually do it because they're under so much pressure from the midfield source. But Fremantle were able to control that ball in the second half. They were able to get free, get the chain of handballs, keep the ball moving forward, not just stagnating and letting Melbourne get back. And they were finding holes in that forward 50, and that's the way they were able to kick away. So is it concerning for Melbourne? Yes, because they only scored 56 points. But in the whole scheme of things, this one loss doesn't define their season, and they're still the premiership favourite. And if they have to play against Fremantle in the MCG, they'll be pretty heavy favourites come finals time. So Fremantle have to continue to work and do some things, and it's just good to have Melbourne knocked off the perch for a little bit, and Fremantle coming up as a little bit of a contender.
Is it good for the rest of the league that they get this loss now, Pez? Like, they're refocusing, about to come up with another top 4, a top 8 contender in Sydney next week. The refocus after a pretty dismal performance
doesn't worry me because I'm not a Swan supporter. But if you're a Swan supporter, you're probably not too keen to be out there playing.
I think if you're the rest of the league, it's putting them on notice. We debated earlier in the year, Pez, whether it was good for them to go when their first loss was good to have, and if even a loss was good to have.
Well,
now that it's happened, it's bad.
Well, it's happened. It's there. It's at the MCG, and it's the only time Fremantle play there this year, unless they have to play there in finals. And I'm guessing the third game you were talking about last week, Source, was Golden State Warriors versus Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I just wanted to address your bet, Pez. Steph Curry hit a 3-pointer in the first quarter, and then one in the third, and that was about it.
Yeah, and
disappointing.
He didn't get his 3, but
I hope you put that down in your ROI, Pez.
Definitely included, and ROI talk coming up soon after Source's third favourite game of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was my third favourite game. It was just an amazing quarter of footy, realistic, and another big turnaround. And it wasn't just the aspects of it being a comeback. 80,000, Sunday afternoon, decent sort of weather, Pairs, Carlton versus Collingwood, old-time rivals. Everything was electric. And a 4-point win to the Magpies. And, really concerning stuff for the Blues, who have started the season so great, to lose to the crosstown rivals.
Yeah, the biggest concern was, Collingwood's goal kicking at the start. They were missing some absolute easy goals straight in front, especially Ginnivan, our friend as well. He was missing a couple that he would usually kick and, quieten the crowd. There was over 80,000 people there on this Sunday, 3:20, middle of the day. So absolutely unbelievable crowd. Just the belief that the Carlton fans have and the Collingwood fans have after beating Fremantle the week before. But you've got to think Collingwood needed to take their chances, and then you're like, all right, that's done. But then in the third quarter, Carlton couldn't score, but they come roaring home in the last with 5 goals, and Collingwood had to re-steady, and it was anyone's game at the end there, and Silvani snaps it over his shoulder and doesn't go through, doesn't go close, but everyone would have been up on their feet, and Carlton supporters devastated, and Collingwood fans over the moon.
Yeah, not just devastated with the loss, Pez, also the loss of Wiedering. And that shoulder, it was a huge worry in a couple of the message groups. I got a couple of the Blues boys mates in there, and they were extremely concerned. And tell you what, the lid was nailed back on during that text message threads, just before even the results had come out about it.
Well, he's been, struggling to get an All-Australian Guernsey his whole career, and this injury doesn't really help him again, because there was no way anyone was going to keep him out of All-Australian centre-half back or full-back this season until his shoulder just, did a little pop-out in a bump, and he was gone for the day, and it opened them up, and Collingwood, could have taken advantage and sealed the game there. Carlton were able to come back, and there's been patches in Carlton games where I've been a little bit worried about him, but they've been a little bit inconsistent. But you're missing Harry McKay, your best centre-half forward, and you're missing Jacob Wiedering, your best centre-half back. So we'll see what Carlton have to bring and if they are a contender for top 4 or not.
Talking about top 4, Pez, exactly the halfway point of the season. The top 4 looks Melbourne, Brisbane, Fremantle, St Kilda. You're very happy with that.
That's not bad,
but they're rounding out the 8. Carlton, Geelong, Sydney, Western Bulldogs. Any big surprises there? Probably Fremantle being so high.
Well, you got Richmond and Collingwood on the exact same points as well as the Bulldogs. So you've got there the surprise that you'd have is Fremantle up so high. I wouldn't be surprised if they were in the 8, but in the top 4, a lot of people would be surprised about that. And maybe Collingwood with the amount of wins that they've had this season as well. They've done well for quite a young list.
Yeah, I think the turnaround from Collingwood and the turnaround from Essendon, I think that's a big point. I think that people aren't talking about it enough. I know there's been a lot of investigation about what's been going on there, but for them to only have 2 wins and they're on a 4-game losing streak, and
after playing finals last year,
yeah, really concerning for them. I think that Hawthorne have been pretty impressive with their young list.
That's a pass. Hawthorne's a pass for sure.
Yep. Gold Coast, do they play finals? Maybe
they've had some good wins up there.
And their fortress.
At Darwin on the weekend against Hawthorne,
Yeah.
who looked good. They've absolutely slaughtered them, so looking good. But you know who else has slaughtered the competition source is myself and you in our betting, because just out on Twitter this week we've posted out the ROI, and I haven't been seeing a lot of ROI posts on Twitter source. So the media manager was instructed to calculate the units and put the units out, because a lot of people on Twitter, for whatever reason, they just want to put the units out because they don't want to influence people to be betting $50 or $500 or $5. So you can bet in your means whatever you want, and whatever your units are, you bet that, and this is how many units up you will be. So
yeah, I guess the ROI is not a term that is used a lot in terms of jumping on board and supporting someone else's bet, Pez. I mean, it's a good metric when you're looking at how much money versus how much money you've brought back in, and giving a percentage of, okay, well, this is the percent of money that I am winning. But if you're looking at units and representing I guess a symbol to represent your number amount, and it also helps with how confident you are too. You see a lot of the time, I guess our standard unit, Pez, is about $25.
Yeah, just on the bet slip there, and the max 50 would be a 2-unit bet. So
exactly right.
And you see a lot of people out on Twitter do that. So looking at the units around on Twitter, if you're up about 10 units, people are usually pretty happy with themselves.
Yeah, well, we'd be wrapped then, Pez.
Oh, we'd be ecstatic. So, Source, you're up 18.75 units, which is not too shabby. But
hey, hang on a tick. When we aim, so what does that mean? Our ROI for the year? Normally it's a 10%. What would the unit be wise? I don't know if I've thrown you on the spot there.
No,
mathematician.
It doesn't affect that.
Doesn't
you can have plus 100 units, but your ROI can be 10% depending on how much money you stake.
Yep,
so that's why I guess people don't really understand the ROI. But I guess for the rest of the season, we'll see how we go. We'll put the units out there. Just to see if people on Twitter can have a little bit of a look and see, because myself, we haven't gone through the bet review yet.
No, we haven't.
I'm plus 59.53 units. So
Not
you
bad
think of
when
that, it's
multiplied by 25.
59 multiplied by 25. You're looking at a decent $1.5 grand. So with small stakes, that's how much money is made. So you think if your unit is $100, you do 100 times 59. That's how much money you would be up if you followed every single one of Pez's bets, or your unit times 18.75. That's how much you'd be up if you followed every one of Source bets. And if you followed both of them,
You'd be up a fair bit.
You'd be up pretty well, 77 units or so. So you're always going to lose in punting. You're going to lose some bets. You can't win 100% of your bets, but what you can do is you can make smart plays, and I think halfway mark during the season is a great way to see it, and to be that many units up when people speak about it on Twitter is a really good achievement. And hopefully if you're listening to the show, you can jump on Twitter at Behind the Bound and show us some love and give us some likes. You don't have to follow along with the bets. You take your own advice and you listen to us, you listen to someone else, you look at someone else's Twitter and you make your own choice of what you bet. But this is just the real stats and the facts, and we can't hide from them because, we don't delete our tweets and they're all there for everyone to see. So it's a great achievement.
It is a great achievement. I like how well that you've talked about that, Pez. Now we're going to get into the bet review, where you're going to focus on that little sad-faced emoji that you've got there, the non-shining sun, I think it is. That's a new little emoji, Pez, but we'll discuss that during our bet review.
Soft review. It's no official review. How does it end? We don't know. They've kind of lost, but they've won as well.
Yeah, I haven't really seen what that is yet from the media manager. Have they?
You just talked him up, Pez, and he's got this little. I don't even know what that is. That must be updated all the emojis.
Has he? Halfway point was when we were going to sign the media manager on or not. So I wonder if he's going to get a gig.
Well, I mean,
see.
he followed your advice with the units, Pez. I guess we'll see how he does with the new structure, and we'll give him a couple more weeks, and then we might sign him on for another Another year. But let's get into the bets anyway, Pez, reviewing these ones. And as you said, hopefully after that little spiel there, it's a lot of winners. So we'll start things off with the Friday night, Pez. I had $100 down in the Sydney-Richmond game, $50 on Callum Mills to get more disposals than Jaden Short. And he was looking really good until...
He was up 8-2.
Yeah. He was killing it
in the first quarter.
Killing it, but not to be. He ended up losing by 4 disposals, and I had Sydney head-to-head with Bluebet, which paid out at $1.59. So 50% stake for that one, Pez. 50% win rate, strike rate, I should say, for that one. You escaped with about $29 in my pocket.
You pulled some money out of that, which was good. I had a $50 max bet as well with my little four-legger alternate lines, alternate totals, and I thought it was looking really bad with Sydney plus 14.5 because Richmond were kicking away, but it ended up coming in with those three, and the one that lost was my under 198.5, which I didn't expect it to be that high. With Richmond kicking that accurately, you take that one on the head. I got it wrong. There you go, the cross. I got a bonus bet for later in the round.
You wear that one, Pez. All right, on to something that seems to be a bit of a trend this year, Pez, is winning the...
Cheeky!
We've done it a few times, and for me, I had a $6 bet that I whacked the cheeky 10 on, Pez, and it got up pretty easily, actually. GWS to kick with race to the first 3 goals, plus 32.5. We know they got within, I think it was about, they were up for most of the first half. And then Stephen Keneally had to get 25 or more disposals,
Interesting,
Pez.
that one.
Love that one.
Now, I had a look at your cheeky because I had a look at my cheeky and I also won mine, but I looked at the stats after the game, said full time and Canelio for 24 disposals, and I decided not to message your source because I knew you'd be shattered. And then
I was smashed. Does that count?
I had a check on Sunday,
yeah,
and he's been adjusted up to 25, so you love that.
I got our media manager to call up the AFL and said, hey, there's a couple of times here that you've missed a disposal.
And you take a cheeky, but a couple of messages throughout the week about my cheeky source. It was $8.71 power played. The little cheeky there. I had 25 on it as well, which was really nice to get that little bit of extra cash. And people were like, you're spot on with your bet because, Brisbane didn't do the line. I did the alternate line. I had Toby Green to kick 2+ goals. He did it in the first quarter. And then over 199.5, which ended up sailing through. There was 80 plus points in the first quarter source there. So we were absolutely spot
Incredible
on with
first quarter. We both actually nailed that, Pez. And the thing that I like the best is that the media manager did his job there. But what it meant is in the second game that the AFL were too busy reviewing the GWS Brisbane game looking for disposals, which means they missed my Tommy Atkins one with his 17 tackles. He got stuck on 14 and couldn't get that 15 across. But
couldn't get the 15, but Source, looking at your bet there, we spoke about it last week.
I got the wrong forward again.
the wrong forward again.
So this week I'm going to be on Cameron.
And then Hawkins will come out and
yeah, but Tommy Stewart, he doubled his disposal rate. So what it means with the AFL, spending too much time making sure my cheeky got up, missed 2 legs, so no bonus bet for me. And
what I'm thinking is you should get a bonus. So sports bet, if you have a player, Tom Stewart, 20 plus disposals, you got 40, so you might as well say that's 2 legs up and you get a bonus back there, maybe. If you got 60, you win the bet.
Nice little 2-pack of donuts there, Pez. Some jelly and jam, and you're all good.
Don't you bring that up again this week.
What about you, Pez, in those next couple of games?
I had to steer clear for the Geelong Adelaide, the Melbourne Fremantle, and the West Coast Bulldogs, which I'm disappointed in myself in. That I didn't even chuck out a live bet because I loved this line at minus 40.5, and they ended up winning by 101 points. And anything against West Coast at the moment is absolute gold and a moneymaker. So
it really is,
especially if it's below 40 or somewhere around there. So I'll be having a look at that
especially
this
if you
week.
can get the Eagles at home, Pez, because obviously that line is a little bit lower. But the way that they're playing and the confidence, they're an absolute shambles. And the Doggies needed to get that 100 point. That's where you need to guarantee it because they jumped up 11% because of that win, and it's something you need to do. It's very handy at the top. You need to guarantee that, and I'm glad Geelong played them twice. So,
that's the thing. The next game on the Saturday night was Gold Coast Hawthorne Source, and you just paid out half time. Bang.
Pez, I told you the bookies had this one wrong. There was an overreaction from the Hawthorne game, and for them to be $1.78 in the way they're playing, I thought it was free cash, and it was.
Yeah, I did my 3-leg same gamer here, and I said Hawthorn wouldn't lose by more than 31, but they actually absolutely got smashed, nearly double that. So I was wrong there with another max, and you got to be wondering, Pez is struggling this week with 2 max losses, but I won the cheeky as well, so I'm up and about.
You're up and about. I steered cleared from the Saints game, the Pies game, and the Essendon game. As we spoke on there wasn't a lot of things to bet on. I did mention that I was going to have a crack at the Blues, but after seeing the late list come out, I was a little bit not confident, so steered clear from those three.
Very, very good with that. But I had St Kilda. I used one of my bonuses that I got earlier in the week, minus 43.5. They won by 50 odd points against North, who aren't a very good side. So I got my $50 back for that. My other one, I decided to put it on Carlton minus 8.5. And ifs and buts, Jacob Wiedering stays or Collingwood kick, it doesn't matter. Collingwood won in the end, so that bonus goes and that $50. And then I had a bet return, and you're not going to believe, I was 21 minutes away because it's on my alternate account. I said, can you check my alternate account to the account holder? Opened up the sports bet. Your bet expires in 21 minutes. And that was on the Saturday night. So I was like, I've got to be quick here. What am I going to do? I ended up going St Kilda to lead every quarter and Carlton 1 to 39, which what I see as a free hit because if I waited 21 more minutes, I wouldn't have even had that bet return. And the first one got up and then Carlton lost by the 4 points, so no good for the bet return on that free hit. Yeah,
no good for the bet return, Pez. And what was no good for my multi was Melbourne. Was the only leg that I missed, and with Fremantle's comeback and the way that they dominated that last quarter, I had Sydney, Melbourne, Gold Coast and Port Adelaide. As I said, Melbourne lost, which means I lose the 50, but I do have a bonus, which I think I found some value this week, Pez.
You got a bonus, which is good. I had the 8-leg multi with Moneyball, and I stayed away from Carlton Collingwood with good intentions there, and it worked out. But the Melbourne Demons, $1.20 there, didn't work out for me, and I got 7 out of 8 on that, and the $25 goes begging because that would have been handy multiplied by 6.
Yeah, definitely would have, Pez. Speaking of handy, we speak to our year-to-date, Pez. For the round, I staked 260, returned 228.50, a losing round, an ROI of 12.17. And for the year, Pez, staked $1,971.01 and returned $2,439.96. A nice little ROI of 23.79, or, as you said, Pez, 18.5 units.
Oh, you got to love it if it's like that. Now, what did I go? I went only $160, so we kind of reversed this week, didn't we?
We did.
Returned $267.
I was trying to catch you.
75 cents, an ROI of 67%. I also included the loss of the Steph Curry bet of the $10 source, just for you. And my year-to-date, I've staked $2,625 with the small stakes, so it adds up over 11 rounds, and I've returned $4,113.37. ROI of 56.69%, or as we said before, 59.53 units, which is around $1,500 if you're playing at home.
Yeah, Pez, and I like that you've done the old humble brag there on me on the messages, and you said, you know what, I included the Steph Curry there, but if I hadn't have, cheeky little, what did you say, 70-something%? Yeah, I'm sure you've got it memorised.
78%, 78.65 to be precise there, Source.
Exactly right, Pez. All right, speaking of precise, Pez, I love the analytics that you've gone through in terms of explaining the ROI, explaining the bet units. Pez, hopefully you're in depth with your next one and you can help some of our punters at home get a nice little kitty building of their own.
The fact that the size of the bets was relatively small.
Our bets with an opportunity about 50 metres out.
I was with a mate and we were getting sort of ready to leave, and he said, I think I'm going to whack 10 on Maxi. Do you want some as well? And I said,
oh, yes! Yes! Yes!
And to start things off, Pez, and to help our punters go through all of those specials, including our favourite and our new betting agency, Donut Bet.
Cyril takes a special and goes bang!
Well, Donut Bet is very, very special. But
the special's just following along with us, isn't it?
to make things pretty easy for yourself, just follow at Behind the Bound on Twitter. If you don't have an account, just make an account, give us a follow, turn notifications on, and you'll get a little betting specials graphic each week. And it's quite handy. So Sportsbet, Ladbrokes, Neds, and Bet365 Source haven't changed in about 3 or 4 weeks. So the same things there, bet returns, same leg multis on certain days. So you got to have a look at what it is. Tab, the favourite one still, 3+ leg head-to-head multi. One fails, you get a bonus back. And Source, you took advantage of that last week. They've also got the same leg multi. This week, venue mode. So if you can get into a venue before the Friday night game, you bet on your team up to $50, Western Bulldogs versus Geelong, and every goal that your team kicks, you get a $2 bonus bet. So if they kick 10 goals, you get a $20 bonus bet
like that
at the end of it. If you can get venue mode activated,
I'll be looking tomorrow.
Moneyball, we've got the 4-leg multi offer as well as same game multis there, but we've got the Dogs v Cats, Bont or Tomahawk. One of the first 4 goals, max bet of $10. $4 it's paying there. So if you like one of those two to kick one of the first 4 goals, you can go on that. The other one is Demons versus Swans, and I did some little bit of research on this one source. Petrarca or Mills for 30 disposals or more. Max bet at $25. It's paying $2. Okay, so it's even money. Now, Petrarca, to get 30 plus disposals by himself, is paying $2.10. So you think, I'm losing 10 cents, I'm adding another player in Mills. You're wondering about Mills on Sportsbet. Mills is paying $2.40 to get 30 plus disposals. So that's why they've put it down to $2 because you're getting 2 players for the price of one. So if you like that there. But what you can do is if you think that both of them are going to get close, you can put both of them for 25 plus disposals on Sportsbet, little same game multi. It'll get you $1.88. But they both have to get 25 plus. So depending where you want to go with that, you can stay away from it totally like I am, or you can wet your whistle over there like that. Blue Bet, we've got the 12 up, we've got the multi bonus, we've got the same game multi, and I don't know if I'm going to include these specials anymore, Source, because this special actually sucks. I think Bailey Smith and Mitch Duncan to combine for 60 disposals, $3. Not a good price.
Not a good price.
I don't think they're going to combine for 60 plus, and even if they do, you'd want more juice than that. But on Behind the Bound, one of our loser competition entrants as well, in Owen Godfrey, he's put Pickle Bet on there for you, Sauce.
Hey, the Pickle Bet.
So he's put them all there in the
I was all ready to
there.
go too. Look, all ready to go.
He's got them all there.
What a legend.
So they're all there for you, ready to go. Owen, we don't... Oh,
Good on you, Godders.
Pez doesn't really like Pickle Bet, but Sauce is in love with it, even though he hasn't placed a bet on Pickle Bet. Round 12 might be the round.
I've got some money in there sitting there waiting to go, Pez. You're not even going to go through them, but that's because they're pretty terrible actually in terms of they're pretty horrible. Go check them out. My favourite one, which is just I don't know why it's not paying $10. Western Bulldogs to win and Aaron Norton to kick 4 goals. Well, both of those things aren't happening. So
of course, as the Geelong supporter, I think all the Western Bulldogs supporters are keen to hear your thoughts as well, Sauce. But thanks, Godders, for putting that out there, and keep putting it out there each week because we can have a laugh at Pickle Bet.
We can have a bit of a laugh at Pickle Bet until Donut Bet gets going, Pez. But until then, we'll just have to work with what we've got. Speaking about work, Pez. This is a bit of a work this weekend because there is a lot of great games, and it's good for me to be able to focus on my full-time podcast career and my betting career because it's a tough round, I think. Starting off with a Friday night, one of the games of the round, Western Bulldogs taking on Geelong at Marvel Stadium. $1.75 versus Geelong, $2.08. Minus 2.5 is the line, and the over/under 168.5 Pez. No one cares about my thoughts because they know where I'm going. What are your thoughts?
We know exactly what you're betting on, and you might be liking the value on Geelong here because Geelong started favourite, Source when I had a look at it at the start of the week, and the Bulldogs have firmed into favourites for whatever reason after a 100-point win against West Coast. I'm not too sure. I think Marvel Stadium has a lot to do with it. Geelong just lost to St Kilda there recently, and the Bulldogs usually play that ground a lot better than the MCG. So what I've done is I've gone to Ladbrokes. They've got a 1 refund per day for their same game multi, and I actually can't pick a winner here. I don't know who I'm going to tip yet. The teams come out tomorrow night, Source. So what I've done is I've just gone my alternate handicaps and my overs bet. So I've gone Geelong plus 26.5. I don't think they'll lose by more than that. And the Bulldogs, trying to trust them, plus 25.5. So any team 1 to 25 or the Bulldogs by 26, that would be both of them with a win. And over 143.5 gets me price boosted to odds of $2.02, and I put 25 on it.
Yeah, I like that, Pez, and I think that's a really fair one. And I know that I was making a little bit of fun there before about how Geelong's the obvious choice because I'm a Geelong fan. I think in these sort of scenarios where it is a coin flip game and we're waiting on the lists, looking at the injuries from last week, it doesn't seem like there's that much difference in terms of what's going to change in terms of their list. You're right, Geelong just had a loss to St Kilda there, but they were in control of the game for half of the game, and it was some coaching moves and the style of play that St Kilda did that really dictated that game. The Western Bulldogs, this is the game that they need. They need to win this game because this will bring them really back in that true contender
back
that
in
they
the pack
should be.
for the top 4
Exactly
as well.
Right. So big stakes for both teams. For me, if I'm being honest, I think the Western Bulldogs should win this game. I think that Geelong sitting at 11 games in, 7-4. They're the most underwhelming 7-4 team because they're beating up on. They've had some really terrible losses against like Hawthorne and the Saints. That was a really bad loss, obviously against a contender. But then they're beating up on sort of those smaller teams, North Melbourne, Adelaide, Port Adelaide, and they've had the advantage of being at home as well. But you give me a 50-50 hit, and one of those teams is sitting there at $2.08. Of course, I'm hitting that, Bez. You got to. All right, and it makes it a little bit better because it is the Geelong game. I am... No, but like in all fairness, though, Pez, if you've got a 50-50 game and you're not sure, well, then you normally go on the over. Wouldn't that be correct?
Or if you're Sauce and you go for the Cats, it doesn't matter what they're paying any week. You're jumping on them. They're paying $8. You're on them.
So I've jumped on the Marcus Bontempelli and Tom Hawkins to kick one of the first 4 goals. I think that when you've got a key forward like Hawkins, and like last week I picked him to kick 3 and he didn't, and the other guy did. So this week he's surely going to get one of the first 4 against Bonds.
Cameron will get 2 of them. Norton will get 2 of them, and then go from there.
But I put the $10 max stake on that one, Pez, for a nice little return. And I've also just gone with Blue Bet, Pez, Geelong, just head-to-head, $50, max bet, $2.05, though. I got a little less value, but I do have the 12 up special. So if it repeats similar to what happened in the Saints game, I don't mind that at all. We're generally a pretty good first half side. I'd be a little bit worried in that second half, so that gives me just to be winning that halftime by 12.
Yeah, and if you do like Bulldogs or Geelong head-to-head, Blue Bet's the way to go with that 12-point special. Lose a couple of cents on the bet, but it's worth it. If your team's up by 12, they could go on to lose and you still get paid out there. So the next game, there's only 6 of them this week, Sauce. Adelaide versus the West Coast.
This is a toughie, Pez. Adelaide Oval is hosting this one. Adelaide versus West Coast. Adelaide will be looking to do what everyone else in the league is and beat up on the West Coast Eagles. $1.11 the bookies have them. $6.70 outsiders are the Eagles. Minus 37.5, quite a low line for for an Eagles game, Pez. $1.90, of course, as always, and 148.5, which is interesting for how low that is. 188 is the total, Pez. I'll give her a spoiler alert. I don't have a bet in this game, but I do have something to talk about it after you've gone through.
Yeah, no dramas there. When I've got a West Coast side here, and the line is below 40, the Adelaide Crows at home, I've been impressed with their effort. I know they lost by 42 points last week against Geelong down there, but that was always expected. They haven't travelled down to Alphabet Stadium very well over the years. So Adelaide Crows coming home in front of a big crowd. West Coast just don't look interested. They might, kick a few goals here and there, but they just don't look interested. They look too old. They look too slow. They're not linking up. They're not running back. And I think Adelaide take this one away. So I've gone a 3-leg same-game multi with lads again because it's on the Saturday and I can still get a bonus back if one leg fails. I've gone the Crows alternate handicap minus 2.5. That was the lowest one, paying $1.10. And Adelaide Crows to lead every quarter. So a wire there, about $1.58 by itself. And then the Adelaide Crows line, minus 38.5. Those 3 together, $2.31, max stake of 50. Go the Crows.
Go the Crows as well, Pez. And it's exactly $1.58, Pez, because I didn't have a bet specifically in this game, but I've got a 2-leg same-game multi across this one and the other rubbish one that's going on at the same time, the Gold Coast and North Melbourne, Pez. I think both of those teams, Adelaide and the Gold Coast, teams that are sort of struggling to get a couple of wins, they're going to beat up on those terrible sides and they're not going to let the other teams have a chance. I've got them both to lead at every quarter. $1.58 for the Crows to do that. Gold Coast to do it, $1.48. You do separate bets of 25 on them, Pez, and you get a little return of like $37 and $39. You multi the 2 up on Neds and put the little boost there, put the 50 on it. That returns $122 at $2.44. I think that goes down. I know that's not really normally the rules, but I thought this way I can sort of have a bit of a stab in both those games. It keeps me interested, but there wasn't enough value on its own.
Yep, you put them together and went from there. So the Gold Coast very short price favourites against North Melbourne. I saw them at $1.09.
They've come in $1.08 now.
$8.
And $8 for North Melbourne, Pez, at the Gold Coast Fortress, which they're slowly building, as I've mentioned a couple of times. Minus 42.5 is the line. The over-under 163.5. Pez, you know what I'm doing? What are you doing with this one?
We're looking like TIO Stadium. I wasn't 100% sure if there was going to be a big win last week up in Darwin, but Gold Coast playing there back-to-back weeks. I like how it's the afternoon game because you're not going to get that night rain that you would get up there at TIO Stadium. And what I've done is I've gone a different route. I was going to go the Gold Coast minus, 44.5 or whatever it is, but I thought that line might be a little bit too big. And if North can show something and get within that line, but I'm not going to bet on the North line either because I don't believe they are going to do it. But I've just gone a single bet, no specials, no anything. Bet 365. The total points for the home side, Gold Coast Sun, the total sits at 102.5. I've gone Gold Coast to get over that, $1.91, max 50. If Gold Coast score 103 or more Sauce just by themselves, that's a win.
Nice. Very traditional of you, Pez, with a 3-leg same-game multi, alternate this, alternate that. A little bit of your trademark calling card there. But let's get on to the next game, Pez. This will be a cracker for a Saturday night. 7:25 start at the MCG. Melbourne taking on the Sydney. Both teams Both teams have been a little bit disappointing in the last 2 weeks. Melbourne obviously having their first loss in the last 18, and Sydney really rough first starting for the half, first quarter starts, Pez, and finding themselves in holes back-to-back weeks. So hopefully they can make a test to this and make it a good game. $1.23 favourites are the D's, outsiders $4.20 are the Swans, minus 23.5 is the line, over under 153.5. Pez?
Mate, I think you've said Sydney have been poor in the first quarters, and Melbourne last week as well, they were decent. They've been really, really good. They've held teams goalless as well, so that's a bit of a problem for Sydney. We'll see the health and the status of a few Melbourne players coming back. Petrarca will want to, get
Bounce
some
back.
disposals and bounce back a little bit. I'm steering clear at the moment. I'll have a bit of a look around on Saturday, but I am looking forward to having a big gaze on this game.
Yeah, and Pez, I had a really, really long geese in this game, and it was tough. It was tough trying to find anything for this round that was cheeky, especially doing this on a Wednesday night, looking at some of those games where there's value, trying to stretch it out for a cheeky, and I found one in this game, Pez. You're going to love this.
Cheeky!
Because I hate it. I don't love it at all. I'm looking through it, and this is probably, I said to you with the pre-show, it's probably the worst bet I've ever put down, and I'm letting the viewers know, Pez, because I'm not confident in it
If
at all.
Source thinks this is his worst bet, jump on board.
So I've gone a 3-league same game multi in the Melbourne game. Sam Reid to kick a goal. Good little money, that one.
Yep.
In the first quarter. So that's sitting there at about $4 on its own. But I think with Buddy Franklin's absence and, May not in there, they'll be able to have a taller target there. So there's a little bit of
thought to it.
Thought to the madness, Pez. And then I've gone Melbourne, as you said, they're very good, at starting the first half and specifically the first quarter. But because I want Sam Reid to kick a goal in the first quarter, I haven't put that in there. I've put a second quarter only line of minus 5.5. I think that's when they sort of they jump out a little bit. They're still controlling the game, but Sydney have been poor.
So you want it to be 6-0 in the first quarter with Sam Reid kicking the goal, and then
2 goals. And then my last leg, Pez, has been Sydney. The last 2 weeks, they've been very good in the last quarter.
Okay.
And I've gone their line, plus 6.5. So hopefully Melbourne have blown them out, and then they put the cues in the rack, and Sydney start to claw back and get a couple of cheekies. That gives me $11.50 odds, Pez. And as I said, I don't love the bet because I want this in this half, and I want this in this half, and I'm cheering for different sides in different quarters. But put the cheeky 10 on that one.
Look, if I'm being honest, I do like the structure of the bet, and it's actually one of the better bets you've done in my eyes. So we go from there and move on to Hawthorne and Collingwood.
Yeah, this is a really interesting clash, Pez. This is at the G on the Sunday. Hawthorne taking on Collingwood. 267 outsiders are the Hawks. $1.48 favourites are the Pies. Minus 12.5 with a line which I think is quite small, and the over-under 168.5. Pez, Collingwood after that big win, surely they're a lot smaller favourites.
Yeah, well, they beat Fremantle over there, and then now they beat Carlton, who were going to be in the top 4 if Carlton had got up last week.
Fremantle beat Melbourne, so they have to be flag favourites.
You'd think so, and they'll get a lot of fans there, the Collingwood fans this week. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the line. I'm not sure about the overs. It was sitting at 170 when I was looking at my bets earlier this afternoon, Source, and I just I do not know. I need to see the teams. If Mason Cox plays, I might like Hawthorn's plus line a little bit. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm steering clear. Yeah,
I'm steering clear in terms of bets in this game, but I have used Collingwood in my multi because I think that is a little bit too high for them to be short for us at $1.48. I think it should be sitting closer to about the $1.20, $1.30 mark after the performance of both teams over the last couple of weeks. Going into the last game, Pez, at our favourite stadium, SBS Stadium. Why is it our second favourite stadium now with Alphabet Stadium?
No, we don't like Alphabet.
No, we love it. SBS Stadium, Freo taking on Brisbane. This is going to be an absolute cracker. $1.68 are the Dockers after their impressive win over the Ds. $2.19 outsiders are Brisbane after their slow start against the Giants. Minus 6.5 is the line. Over under 162.5. Pez, what are you playing?
Oh, I like this game, and Fremantle, shout out to them as well, sitting third on the ladder, but 131%, and Fremantle aren't known for their scoring prowess, so they're only 8% behind the Brisbane Lions. But here, I think I think Brisbane bounced back a little bit. I think Fremantle are going home with a big expectation now, and they think they might just have a win. Brisbane aren't a walk in the park. They're not a walkover side. I don't think they've got any major injuries. Hipwood came back and kicked a goal last week. He continues to go. They played at home. They travel across. I think they'll travel together as a group, and I think they'll come out and get this win at $2.15. So I'll put a 3-leg same game multi together here. I've put over 139.5 points, where Fremantle games are historically lower, especially over at home. Brisbane, alternate handicap Source, minus 21.5. So I think they're going to have a 4+ goal win here, and under 194 total points for a total odds of $7.
Cheeky.
Which is cheeky.
That's
That's very cheeky.
That
there.
is very cheeky.
And I'll put 25 on it, not the minimum 10. So
1 unit.
Let's go the Brisbane Lions.
Yeah, totally all with you, Pez. I think that what was really telling in this game, if this was at the Gabba, the prices would be reversed. Brisbane probably be even a little bit more heavier favourites. They'd probably be sitting about the $1.50 mark. If we're only determining factor is the venue, just like I said in the Geelong game, it's a 50-50 50-50 swing. You go with the outsider. I've gone Brisbane 2.15 with my bonus bet, Pez, and I agree. I think that they are not a walk in the park. They have more things around the ground, and Fremantle's big tendency is obviously their defence. Brisbane, we've spoken about this for 3 years now, they can score from anywhere, and they can score fast and quick, and they've got so many different weapons, and the form that Neil is in, he's looking for a second Brownlow this year, Pairs, the way he is, making the right choice, staying with the Lions and not going with the hometown Dockers. So,
oh, wow. Wouldn't that be a story this week, playing at Fremantle if Lachie Neale was there, but both on the Lions, so I'm a little bit nervous now that you are with me, but we will wait and see.
We will wait and see, Pairs. All right, on to the multis for the round, Pairs. I've gone Geelong, Adelaide and Collingwood, 351, max stake on that one.
All right, I've gone 4 folds here. I couldn't find a tab 3+ leg same gamer. I've gone $25 on this. I've gone Adelaide, minus 38.5 source. I've gone my Gold Coast bet, over 102.5 points. I've gone Melbourne, just an outright win with the early payout option there. And Brisbane at the line, plus 5.5. Those 4 together, $8.70 odds, $25 on it.
Cheeky.
Oh, it could be cheeky if you want it to be.
Yeah, everyone knows that Pez pushed that button, by the way. You love pushing about 7 times a game. All right, Pez. Got any more donut talk, or you got anything else you want to say before we wrap things up on a Wednesday night?
Donuts are gone. Holes are plugged.
Nice.
I'm Pez. Peace out.
I'm still Sauce. We'll catch up next time. And as always, if you're having a bet, make sure it's responsible.